Hello, everybody. Okay, so today we will be diving into different ways that gratitude can improve our physical and our mental health. I'm so excited about today's topic as one of my own personal experience with thankfulness changed my entire trajectory of my life forever. And I want to ask all of you, when was the last time that you were truly grateful? Is this something that you struggle with? Let's talk about it. What is gratitude? Gratitude is simply the feeling of thankfulness. Simple, right? It's that really warm sense of appreciation that we get when we recognize the good in our lives. Whether it's a kind gesture from a friend, a peaceful moment in nature, that's my favorite, or acknowledging that we have a roof over our heads. And I had to do that as well. But here's something interesting. Psychologists break gratitude into two different types. They break it down into state and trait. It's kind of fun, right? I didn't know this. I was doing research on this and it's fascinating. Okay, so state gratitude is what most of us experience in the moment. So, for example, if someone holds the door open for you or gives you a compliment and you feel that quick burst of appreciation, that is called a state gratitude. It's very short term and it's tied to a specific experience. Kind of cool, right? But then a trait gratitude is more like a personality trait. It's a deeper, more consistent way of seeing the world. People who score high in their trait gratitude tend to notice the positives around them more regularly and not just when something obvious happens. They naturally focus on what they have rather on what they lack, and more often than not. So it's kind of a cool dynamic there. And it's good to have both, obviously, if you can imagine. All right, so why does all this matter? Because while those small moments of gratitude can lift our mood temporarily, cultivating a trait gratitude, this is a habit of being grateful, can actually lead us to bigger improvements in our mental and physical health overall. So this is our direction, right, guys? So being thankful is a huge key to this. So if you haven't heard my podcast on habits, because this is definitely a habit that you want to have and incorporate and replace bad, negative, grumpy attitudes with, I have the link for that in the show notes, so check that out if you haven't heard it yet. All right, so gratitude can be expressed in many different ways, right? So we can do journaling, we can say thank you more often, and my favorite, mindfulness. When we see things in a more grateful way, we usually notice it again and in the same manner because it's building our habit, right? So Robert Emmons, who is one of the leading gratitude researchers, says, people who regularly practice gratitude by taking time to notice and reflect upon the things that they're thankful for experience more positive emotions, feel more alive, sleep better, express more compassion and kindness, and even have I'm trying to read because it's a quote, and even have stronger immune systems. Whoa. Isn't that cool? And he's a researcher in this, having a stronger immune system. I don't know about you guys, but I'm all about making sure I have the best immunity ever, right? Okay, so let's talk about the mental health benefits. So here's a list of the top 3. So it reduces stress and anxiety, increases happiness and our life satisfaction. It enhances resilience and optimism, not optimization. I was reading my notes. I'm having fun with this. I'm in a very grateful attitude right now. As you can probably hear, I'm smiling as I'm talking about this. And we'll talk about my story here in a second. But to do a little bit of facts. No, I'm saying it too fast. You guys are getting all my bloopers because I don't edit purposely for this. Getting all of it. So the fact search is, in 2020, researchers published a major review in the Journal of Psychosomatic Research. They looked at 19 clinical trials on gratitude practices like journaling, writing letters, simple reflection, and what they were thankful for. They found that people who practiced gratitude regularly reported better sleep, had lower stress, and even showed improvements in physical health conditions like asthma, which is crazy, right? Asthma, but it's part of our breathing. It's part of slowing down. And it also improved their blood sugar levels. Isn't that interesting? Like, that's so crazy, right? Like, what? And it also, there were signs of lower blood pressure and healthier eating habits. Whoa. So we're going to do a podcast later on eating healthy. But isn't it interesting that being thankful, we kind of naturally have this healthier eating habits like ingrained in us? Do you think that's by coincidence? Let me know your thoughts on that because it's very interesting. But to me, it makes sense because when we're like eating garbage, or we're eating unhealthy foods, when we're just consuming all this junk, it's very selfish. I want to feel good. I want to, hit that dopamine. It's all about me. But if we're being thankful and letting things go and just acknowledging our creator, it makes a lot of sense that we would just naturally see foods differently. We're going to see our sleep differently. We're going to see our exercise routine differently. We're going to see our children and our family members and our friends, all this differently. It's part of reassembling our mind, is being thankful. It's not just a one and done. It's not just, okay, I'm thankful more in my life. Okay, let's move on. No. It is a life-changing experience. There's also another fascinating study about heart disease. Those who kept gratitude journals actually slept better. They felt less fatigued and had lower levels of inflammation. And they were more likely to stick to their medication and lifestyle changes. That's so powerful, right? So gratitude wasn't just changing their mindset, it was supporting their recovery. So yes, I agree and I believe that being thankful can literally be good for our body as well as our mind. Okay, so how thankfulness changed my life. As you guys know from listening to my previous podcast, I was in a very, very toxic relationship. And part of that, I became angry. And I didn't realize I was becoming angry. I was angry at myself. I was angry at just at the situation. And not necessarily angry at him, which is the source of the cause. But at that time, it was just more of like, I'm still messing up. You have to remember, I was in that abusive toxicity mindset, right? So I wasn't thinking clearly. So it was all about me. I'm messing up. I'm doing something wrong. I'm not making this work. I'm selfish. Even though I'm trying to do it for him, I'm trying to do it for what he's wanting it to be. It wasn't working, obviously, because it's a broken down system. So it makes sense now. But at that time, it was just this hamster wheel. And I remember one night, I'm walking to the trash, and where we lived at that time was absolutely horrid. But thank God we actually lived on a hill. And we had this big, giant, beautiful, naked tree. It never had any leaves. It never produced any fruit, which makes sense because it's a dead tree. But it was so big and it was so intricate that I always saw it as something beautiful. And past that, if you kept looking up, it was the night sky and there was millions of stars and the moon. And because we're on a hill and where we lived, there was less city living. It was definitely in the city, but just not a lot of people. It was a very small, nobody wanted to live there. And if you guys knew where, you would understand why. So there wasn't a lot of people, but because there wasn't a lot of people, there wasn't a lot of light pollution. And so that allowed me to see this beautiful sky. And for the first time, oh, thank you, God. I felt this overwhelming thankfulness. I was so thankful for the sky. I was thankful for what my eyes were looking at. And it was so overpowering. And I just really slowly took my time to get into the trash can. And I just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was thanking God. And I was really thanking him. And I put it into words later because this did become a habit where I would be taking out the trash every night. And I would just really take my time that seemed reasonable because I didn't want him looking for me. And I would just take my time and I would be out there and I would start thinking about like, wow, thank you that in this moment, nothing is happening. In this moment, I'm able to look at this instead of other things. In this moment, I'm experiencing peace. So instead of focusing on my circumstances, because I was just I hated my life so much back then and everything that was being done. So I had moments like small, like they were micro moments. They were minutes, not even past the 10-minute mark, right? They were less than 10 minutes, if at all. And I had a newborn too. So you guys can all imagine like my minutes really mattered. And so it only really took comfortably, I want to say about 3 minutes to get to the trash can and back, where I could probably, without him looking for me, 3 minutes a night is where I started, guys. 3 minutes every single night, looking at the sky and being thankful for that moment. Dreading, I wasn't trying to think about it, but I was dreading going back into the house. But for those 3 minutes, it was just me and God and the sky and nothing else. And it was the most amazing, beautiful, serene, peaceful. And it really helped me to let go of my anger and other things. And I started trying to be, it started a trajectory of trying to be more thankful and finding things to be thankful for, even in the chaos and the crazy and all that. And believe it or not, even in the worst moment of my relationship, the consistency of what was the worst thing that ever happened to me that nobody really understands. I'm sure it's happened to other people, but I cannot discuss it on this podcast because I'm trying to keep it very G to PG rated. And I don't want to trigger anybody. But even in the worst moments, it took a long time. I was like, how am I supposed to be grateful? Because I had to find a way to be grateful in that moment, right? Because everything else I was able to figure it out. It took time. It took practice. It was not overnight. This was months of doing and failing and trying and doing it again. But I really wanted to tackle it. It became a challenge. And because it was a challenge, it became fun, right? Okay, so in that moment, while it was happening, what could I be grateful for? And you want to know what it was? In that moment, he's being truthful. He's telling me what he's thinking about. He's telling me what he's imagining in his head. He's telling me what he wants. Even though it is not okay with God, it is disgusting, it is evil, it is completely defiling. That's as far as I'm going to go. But he was being truthful. So if I can find how to be thankful in the worst case scenario, you can too. And there's other examples I'm going to give here too, which is incredible. But let's keep going. So, okay. So that was my mental health benefit, right? So let's talk about the physical health benefits. Better sleep. I necessarily don't know if I slept better or not. I don't want to say one way or another. But there is scientific proof of better sleep, especially if those who did a gratitude journal before bed. I couldn't because then I would be afraid of him finding it. So I had to be grateful just internally. And maybe that would have helped if I could write it down somehow. I have written it since then, and that has helped my sleep. So there you go. But it lowers blood pressure. It improves heart health. We talked about that earlier. Strengthens our immune system. We talked about that earlier. And it gives us more motivation to exercise and eat well. I love this one. We talked about that, which is phenomenal. So it just kind of recaps everything we talked about. All right, so if this wasn't enough, let's talk about the social and relational benefits. Okay, so we're removing myself from that drama and we're putting ourselves into like normal circumstances and where you're mostly likely in not in an abusive relationship, just with normal people, your coworkers, your friends, your family, your kids, your family. I always said family. I was thinking of family of your extended family versus your day-to-day family. That's what I meant. All right. So being grateful, we can build stronger relationships within our circles, right? So just saying thank you more, it increases trust and connection, right? So it also enhances empathy and reduces aggression towards other people. Isn't it amazing? Just by saying thank you and being grateful for any little thing. Now, don't go overboard and don't be like over dramatic about it, but being honest with our thank yous can go a long way. So it makes us more likable. It improves our consistent social cultures, like in our workplace or our school. And if you're like me at all, someone who's appreciative is more attractive to be around, right? Like, tell me I'm lying, if right? Like, I'm just saying. So leave the comments if you guys agree with that, because I am constantly seeking to surround myself with people who are like-minded, and a huge part of that is people who are grateful and positive. Because I'm a very positive person and I'm a very grateful person. I am working on complaining though, which is really weird. I'm such a grateful person, but I still find myself complaining. And I don't think it's necessarily that I'm ungrateful for the things I'm complaining about. It's more of like, for me, I see a challenge and I don't like where it's at right now. So I want to keep picking at it and keep picking at it and keep picking at it until it can like break through it. So to me, it doesn't sound like complaining. It sounds like, okay, there is this barrier and I don't like it. And here's all the things why it needs to come down. But when other people are listening to me talk about that barrier, it comes across as complaining. Right? So we'll kind of discuss all that in a different episode, but just letting you know, like, it's amazing how we can perceive things that others perceive differently, right? All right, so how do we do this with being grateful? 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "Give thanks in all circumstance, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you." It's for us. It's for us. I love it. God does so many things for us. He is so abundant and overflowing that he does things for us. And he's like, hey, being grateful is good for you, right? Have we not talked about all that? All right. So here are some simple practices to practice and build our gratitude. And if you need to replace a bad habit of being ungrateful, miserable, or negative all the time, okay, so remember, we can't erase those, but we can replace those. And if we're going to replace these good habits of being thankful, let's start there, right? So again, check out those show notes in the episode about habits. All right, so we talked about keeping a gratitude journal. I have started doing this after the relationship, and I love it. And there's other things too. It's not just being grateful. It's other thoughts and struggles and whatever it may be. But it definitely helps. And we talked about that in, I think we talked about that in another episode, but you guys might not have heard that one yet. So I'm going to keep that to myself, but it's coming. Okay, so saying thank you more often, reflecting during our quiet time. Now, our quiet time can vary because you're like, hey, I'm not organized. I don't have time to be thankful. Are you in the car? At all? Is there any time that you're in the car by yourself? Is there any time that you're going to sleep or waking up or in the shower? Even if it's just for a few minutes, there's always time to be thankful and be intentional with that meditation. And the best place to start with is thankfulness, breathing and thankfulness. Write a thank you letter to somebody. And there, of course, there's like a gazillion gratitude apps. And the two that was recommended, but I have not used them personally, and they are not sponsored, but they're highly recommended in general, is the app Grateful or 5 Minute Journal. So check those out if they work for you, great. If not, keep looking if you really like the app portion of it. I'm a little old school. I was born a little bit earlier than the app store. So I'm all about the old school handwriting. Okay, so reference back a little bit to my story from earlier. Facing the gratitude is a must to get started. right? So like getting the identity was part of it, processing thoughts, like all this led up to being grateful. And when I started applying that into my life, it changed so much. And talk about surviving abuse. Like if you can be grateful, and I love it because we're going to talk about another woman who did that as well here pretty soon. But it's like anything else that we practice on this podcast. It's a skill set, and it gets easier with time. Eventually, it'll be so second nature to you. You're not even like putting any thought into it. That's the great thing about it. But somehow incorporate it and just practice, right? So, okay, let's recap. Today we learned what gratitude is and the powerful components of how being thankful is healthy for us. I love it. So I encourage all of my listeners to try one gratitude habit for this week. Let me know your results. I really want to hear from you guys. I want to know what worked and your success story. So leave me a comment. And if you want to do your own research, this is the gal I was telling you about. I encourage you to read The Hiding Place. I'm sure many of you have already heard about it or have already read it, but read it again by Corrie ten Boom. It's her true story about how she not only survived the concentration camps, but how the action of gratitude and forgiveness transformed her life. There's a story in there that I never even heard before until I kind of revisited it, about her gratitude while she was there. And in the midst of all the craziness, what her and her sister had to endure. But it also saved them from being more tortured. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. So definitely read that. And then another great resource is a movie called Life is Beautiful. And it's about a father who made he made living during the Holocaust more of a game to protect his son from the reality of horror that was going on during that time. So both are obviously during that same time frame. One's a book, one's a movie. So it depends on which one works best for you and your lifestyle and your time. But both are phenomenal. And if you guys can imagine, that's a general, one of the most hardest realities that people had to face. And they were abused, and they were abused for no reason. And they were victims, and they were captured just because of their faith. And so it's amazing, these stories of what they did to overcome that, because obviously there are people even today who have less to worry about, but are living their lives in this ungrateful attitude, who are not reassembling their minds, who are not, putting any effort into being proactive, and they're just consuming and they're dying. And it's so sad. And those who are listening to this channel, though, I know you're not like that. And so kudos to you. And thank you. Thank you for loving yourself and loving your family enough to be better, because obviously there's people who are not. Okay, so we have another great quote from Robert Emmons that says, "You cannot be grateful and resentful at the same time." This is so true. And I used the same when I was first starting out on my grateful journey. It helped me a lot, because you can't. You physically can't. I think I learned that from Tony Robbins, but he's obviously said it in a different way. But yeah, you can't. You can't be thankful and ungrateful at the same time. I just love it. So I want to know what you guys are thankful for today. What are you thankful for today? Send them some message, tag us on our socials. Like, let's get involved. Like, let's buddy up. Let's get connected on this stuff, right? And so to continue on our topic of being grateful, though, I'm so honored and I'm so grateful for all of you. And I'm intentionally thanking all of you who listen, who share, who interact in any way with me on this podcast. I really appreciate it. This is not an easy journey, but like everything else, if it's worth doing, it doesn't matter if it's easier or not, right? If you'd like to stay connected, which I would love, make sure you follow me on the links below. We have a community group over on Facebook. I would love to see you guys over on there. I also have an Instagram, and I share fun things over there from time to time. The best place to connect with me, though, is during my one-on-one coaching. We dive into your personal situation to reassemble your situation. Whoa. And that's a lot of situations going on there. But yeah, that's what it is, right? And so lastly, check out our free identity assessment. It's the best homework you'll ever give yourself, and you will thank yourself for it. So that's why I put the plug in for that. All these links are in the show notes. I love you guys. Continuous prayers for all of you. Take care.